Welcome back to the Simply His Coffee Shop. We are going to be continuing our discussion on Whispering Ponies Ranch and what we do there. Last week, it was an amazing conversation, and we wanted to continue that and continue sharing stories of how this life-changing ministry has affected all of us.
Impact.
Right.
It has such a big impact on not just us, but the kids that we serve. And so, Joe, just briefly tell us and explain what Whispering Ponies Ranch is and what we do there.
For those that have never followed our program before or have never seen what we do at Whispering Ponies Ranch, it is the charitable ministry that Skywatch Television underwrites. And it is a place, I would call it an oasis, where children of special needs that have been rescued out of sex trafficking, the foster care system, where the abuse ranges every variety, from sexual to physical to mental to simple neglect. Not being fed, not being nourished, literally not being fed for multiple days on end. These kids get to come at no expense to themselves or the organizations like Royal Family Kids or Teens Reach that we partner with to bring these kids to Whispering Ponies Ranch, where they get a litany of interactions with the Lord. It's a Bible-focused program. They get to meet Jesus and see his love being put on full display by the counselors and the volunteers. We serve them as staff of Skywatch Television and the people that work at Whispering Ponies Ranch. We have several amenities that we offer to these children. They get to ride zip lines. They get to climb rock walls. They get to swim in the indoor swimming pool. They get to have chapel services and see puppet shows and big movies and tea parties. And they have a brand new playground. They get to ride, the People Mover through the old West Town down to go fishing. And so for those unfamiliar, that's just a snapshot of what Whispering Ponies is and what it exists to do and the children that we serve there. And last week, if you missed it, we were just sharing stories of our experiences so far through the 2023 camping season. Nita talked about this event where girls came out with these beautiful gowns on and got to be treated like a princess for a day.
Queen
and,
for a day.
we learned a little bit about one of the tea parties and picture time with Juanita. And I think you were getting ready to ask Kate what one of her favorite memories of this year was.
Yeah, I was.
I'd have to say definitely my favorite memory from this year so far was I was sitting at these picnic benches that we have up at our arena where we have all of our horse activities. And usually I drive the horses, but that day I was
facilitating a little bit more.
I was doing what we call boots on the ground, which is, we kind of meander and make sure that everything's all right, in case if there was an emergency, there's somebody who's free to help or do whatever. So I was sitting at these picnic benches, and I had some of the little boys, because we had the boys up there. I had some of the little boys sitting next to me and some of the, counselors and whatever, and we were all talking. They were asking me about the animals and everything. And I can't quite remember how it got brought up, but one of the counselors started asking one of the little boys sitting next to me what he likes to write, because he was talking about how he likes to write, which I thought was interesting. And I ended up asking him what kinds of things he likes to write, and he said he likes to write song lyrics and stories. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool and interesting." And then I started telling him that I play piano and sing, and I've tried to write songs, but I'm terrible at writing lyrics, and I can't. I can play the tunes and stuff, but I cannot actually write any lyrics for it. And then I was like, "Well, hey, man, why don't we make a song together? You can write the lyrics and then I can play it."
Collaboration.
And he's like, oh, and he immediately starts writing down all these lyrics, and he was working on it. And he was updating me every day. He's like, "Okay, I think I'm almost done. I've got this 30-30 time," which if you're not familiar with, I guess is a time where they get to, sleep. It's almost like a free time or whatever. And he's like, "I think I'm going to finish it in 30-30 time."
It's basically a quiet time, in case you're wondering. So, it's kind of like a nap time, but not fully a nap time. So 30 minutes, they have to lay quietly on their bed and sleep or whatever. And then the last 30 minutes, they can read a book or just as long as they're being something quiet and being still for a little bit. So that's what 30-30 time is.
Yeah, so he ends up finishing it, and I believe that one of the last days, he had worked on it for maybe like a day or two and whatever.
Because I think he
And
brought to you it on Thursday or Friday morning.
it was Thursday morning. I was actually feeding ponies with the girls, but he saw that I was in one of our Polarises or whatever throwing hay to the ponies, and he ran over and he's like, I'm finished with it, I'm finished with it. And he handed it to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And I'm like reading the lyrics, and I'm like, you're a professional songwriter. I
Oh
didn't
my
even
goodness,
know.
we got a professional on
Yeah,
our
we got a
hands.
professional. You got to start like writing music for people. This could maybe be your, the thing that you grow up to do. Trying
Like
to
a
plant
calling.
that. Yeah, trying to plant
the
that
next
seed
Chris Tomlin.
and everything. And so the lyrics are actually very precious. I can maybe,
Yeah.
send a snapshot to our editors
Yeah.
and we can bring up, some
you
of the
have 'em?
lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I
We were
kept
reading
them.
Did he
and I,
sign them? Did he put his name on there?
He didn't put his name on there. But one thing that also kind of broke my heart at the same time is that he was a graduate this year. So a graduate is when they are, obviously graduating out of Royal Family Kids Camp. He was about 11 years old. And so this was his last year. And I believe he had been here like 2 or 3 years
Yeah, he had
beforehand
been.
too. So, we kind of
yeah.
got to grow up with him a little bit. So that was
I
very
did
tough.
something this year that I have never done before professionally. I always, and you guys know, many of you here who volunteer and work at the camp, the difficulty almost matches these moments of triumph and victory.
Yeah.
And it is this all
summer long.
You'll have one treasured moment where you're, yes!
Right.
Because something unforgettable has taken place in the life of a child who will take that lesson forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
A victory at the zip line
Yeah.
Right.
where they've overcome inhibition and lack of trust of gear and of people to finally deciding it's time for them to zip and coming back with their hands up wanting to go right away. And you can identify these gains as they come back year after year. Some of these kids you've spent 5 years with them now,
Right.
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 right?
Yeah. Seeing the growth.
Seeing the growth
Yeah.
from where they started. You learn them by name.
Yeah.
Yep.
As soon as they get off the bus, it's so and so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Back.
Here's this. Then it's Friday.
Right.
And some of these kids, they so desperately do
Inconsolable.
not want to leave that
Yeah.
they are hiding behind garbage cans. They are throwing, the word tantrum doesn't even cover it.
No.
Some of them, it is a full breakdown.
Yeah.
It's just a meltdown. Is
It's
what
it's
it
a
is.
full
It's
meltdown.
a meltdown. It's not a tantrum because with that you think almost like they're angry or something like that. Like
Yeah,
a
they're
temper
Veruca
tantrum,
from the
but
end of Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory. They're just spoiled and they want what
yeah,
they want.
it's not
It's
that.
not that.
It's literally a meltdown.
Almost the kind of wails that you hear when someone has lost a loved one.
Oh, it's
Yep.
horrific.
It's this guttural.
Yeah.
It just ruins you. I've had staff that just showed up during one of these, don't even know the backstory and begin to weep because of the, don't even know what the plot is. Just and so graduation day, I had a really hard time. I've never done this. We try to stay tough.
Yeah.
And a lot of our encounters would be somewhat similar to like if you were a part of a Make-A-Wish program
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
where you're there for the kids. Regardless of how devastated you are inside to learn about their backstory or to
Yeah.
Yeah.
realize they're graduating out of the program, whatever, it's all happy at Whispering Ponies Ranch. This is the one place where it's always going to be happy.
Yeah.
And my kids caught on, and I tried to pull it together. But we had a graduate this year at the zip line, and it was tough. It was tough. Because you're looking at this kid that you've ministered to for years now.
Right. Right. Right.
And he's still got this big smile on his face. And you hope that the time you've spent is enough.
Right.
That God will take those seeds.
Right.
These kids will never forget
Yeah.
at least this one place different from the rest of their
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
where they were loved.
Yeah.
Sure.
And shown unconditional love.
I had this moment. Man. Or I send this little boy down the zip. And as he's going down, I'm thinking, that's probably the last time I'm ever going to zip this kid. I don't know if I'll ever see him again. So I broke down. running the zip line. And immediately, I mean, this is the kind of emotional reserve you have to have on tap. Here goes this little boy, and you turn, and it's, all right, who's next? Let's. And it was the worst job I'd ever done masking it. And little Nita down here, she's looking up at Kate, who sits in the crow's nest with me. And I've never done that before. And I think the reason this year's been so hard for me, and I've heard you guys say the similar things, is when Whispering Ponies Ranch started running these camps with Royal Family kids 4 or 5 years ago, it was a brand new endeavor. So these kids came back a couple of years. It took you a couple
Right.
to learn the names.
Yeah.
Now that we're into this a half decade,
Right.
Yeah.
we're now for the first time experiencing kids we have really
Right.
gotten to
We've
know.
invested
Invested in their
them.
life.
And you just can't know. We are not permitted
Right.
to follow them.
Right.
Right.
Or even know their last
I
names.
cannot, yeah. We are not permitted. Hey, little Billy, let's exchange emails.
Yeah.
It's so highly inappropriate to what we do and
Yeah.
and the nature of where these kids
Right.
have come from. You have no way of knowing. So it's been like highs and lows this year. Has just
Yeah.
I hit like week 2 this year, and I said, is it just me, or did we blow through our emotional reserves faster this year?
Right.
Big time.
Definitely.
It's the kind of work
Big
that like
time.
it drains you of
Oh, man.
all of your emotional reserves,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and yet you would never stop.
No.
No.
I feel
never.
like if you've ever seen the movie Schindler's List, and you know that story of Schindler, you might recall in the Hollywood dramatized retelling of that story, at the very end, he has saved all of these Jews by creating an oasis where they can pretend essentially to hide out under cover from Nazi Germany and the Gestapo that are searching for these Jews, with this factory that he's created basically to create the illusion that they are working on armaments for the German army. You know the story.
Yeah.
But it's just a farce.
Right.
They mostly are just there to survive, and it's only when the Gestapo knock on the door that they all scurry about and pretend to be manufacturing, and that's how he ends up saving, hundreds of Jews.
Yeah.
But at the end of his life, instead of celebrating the number of people that he had saved, when asked, every possession that he had, everything that he had maintained, a lot of it just to keep up the optics that he was
Yeah.
doing well, all of it, including his own vehicle, his thought was it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Every possession that he had could have been
One
something
more
he could have
person.
bartered for enough silver to buy one more Jew to work at this factory. And so it's this weird, like, gaslight chamber of being
Yeah.
up and down and up and down and up and down. And at the end of it, I do celebrate the lives that we're reaching, but I am telling you guys, I am wrecked and desperate for the number that are still out there
Right.
elsewhere that don't have a Whispering Ponies Ranch.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this is a program for a whole other time, but that's why I'm producing Rescue Us, this 6-part docuseries that I hope is done later this year. Because the end of it, basically, at the 6th hour, it basically crescendos into this. What are you doing about this?
Yeah, for sure.
If
Yeah.
you're a person of means, if you're a person of resources,
Yeah.
if you have land, if you have wherewithal, if you're a prayer warrior who has nothing but a pension,
Right.
and you feel like there's nothing you can offer, you can be praying for these kids. You can be praying for the
Absolutely.
ministries
Yeah.
that are trying to stand in the
Yeah.
gap.
Boy, yes.
Because I feel like Schindler. We're reaching hundreds of kids every year,
Yeah.
and I am excited about that, but I also feel this dichotomous tearing of my heart. It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's never enough.
Yeah, the
It's
floodgates
never
are
Never
open.
enough. Do you guys feel that?
Yes.
I
When
would-
it feels like too the oppression this year
Oh
and
my
the
gosh,
spiritual
yeah.
warfare around the camps. And I
Unbelievable.
don't use those
Heightened.
words normally and say that, oh, we're
None of
really
us
getting
do.
attacked.
We don't
But
like to
it's
give credit.
almost, no, we don't like giving credit, but it's been almost palpable.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it is
every
palpable.
group that has come up has said exactly the same thing because
Yeah.
they're like,
This has been our
man, the
hardest year."
warfare this year has been incredible, but God has showed up
Yes.
every single
Absolutely.
week. Every single week, even though through all of the turmoil and everything to get to camp, And I've been telling the groups too, because Fridays have been hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to have PTSD about Friday. Most people are like, Friday, yay, it's my weekend. I'm like,
No.
oh my God, it's Friday. We're going to be
Just
breaking
let these
down and
kids-
hiding in the coolers because
Yeah.
we finally have a walk-in cooler. And it's like, that might be my new place on Friday because that's
cry
where I
room.
go to cry because I don't want the kids to see me because the kitchen is right in the common area.
Yeah.
And we have the slider windows open and I keep the door open just because I kind of like seeing what's going on too. But we get to see what happens. That's usually where they have the meltdown because that's where their rooms are too. So it's just been
As they're packing
really
up,
hard.
yeah.
Fridays have been hard. So if it's Friday, please pray for us
my
because
gosh.
we need the extra prayers on Friday. But it's been really rough. But really quick, one of my favorite moments this year was the kitchen got a 5-star review.
Oh, come on. Oh, I know this story.
We did.
Oh, that was the.
So
oh
cute.
my!
Oh, that was so cute.
I forgot about
I'll
that.
bring the picture of
that
it
was
and
outrageous.
we'll put it on the
Adorable.
screen so you can see my 5-star
Oh, yes.
review. And I don't know who the boy was because
that was
the
crazy.
director didn't tell me, but she brought me this piece of paper that had my 5-star review written
Got a
on
little
it.
restaurant critic in there.
Yes, we do. So she's like, oh my goodness, Catherine, you have to have this. And I read it and I about died. She's like, I almost cried because it's just so cute. So he wrote out a 5-star review for taco night. And technically, I don't think I was the one that cooked taco night that night. Actually, it might have been Penny, I think. It was Penny.
Yay, Penny!
You got a 5-star review, Penny.
Yeah, she got a
This is
5-star
serious.
review.
Oh, it's too much fun.
So he drew out 5 stars, and you'll see it on the screen. And then he wrote, tacos good. And then he's like, the line was a little bit long, but worth the
But
wait.
worth the wait.
Worth the
Worth
wait.
the wait.
Yeah.
And he actually drew me a taco.
Taco was drawn.
So he writes the 5 stars. He actually draws out 5 stars, and he wrote, tacos good. Long line, but worth it. And then under that was delicious. Approved, check mark.
He put a check mark next to his own
Approved.
approved.
Yes.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
approved.
And then he drew a picture of a taco.
Taco. He drew a picture of a taco. So we'll
Oh,
put that on
my
the screen
goodness.
so you can see that. But that is one that I'll never forget, and that will definitely stay in all of our stuff. Sometimes the kids do write us little notes to thank us for doing the food or things like that, So that's one that will definitely stay around for
That's
a
cute.
very long time. And I can always say now I can add it to my resume.
Exactly.
We are a 5-star kitchen.
5-star kitchen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Done.
That is approved.
Yes, we are approved.
Approved with a check mark.
Yes.
Speaking of stars, I noticed that several of you have them on your lapels. What's that
yes.
about?
I'll let Kate talk about that.
So we earn these stars for every 5 years that we work camp. So this silver one, that one is for your first year, and then this golden one is for your 5th year, and you're awarded, again, every 5 years. I believe when you hit 10 years, it's like a silver crown and then like a golden crown later on. But they have a story on why it's specifically starfish, and I hope I don't butcher it. But basically, the story goes that there was a man walking on a beach, and there was all these starfish on the beach that were washing up, and he was picking them up and throwing them back in the ocean, before they dried out and died or whatever. And there was some boys that had run over to the man, and they're like, you could never save all these starfish. There's like billions of them. You would never be able to do that. And then he looks at them and he says, I can't save every starfish, but I can save at least this one.
Wow.
And
so-
throws it into the ocean.
Yep, and
Wow.
throws it into the ocean.
How
and so,
indicative of those babies
of
that
course.
go through camp.
so that's why we have them as starfish, is because, it represents,
Yeah.
we can't save every child out there, but we can try our best to, plant the seeds in
ones that-
each
the ones
child's
we
heart.
have.
Yeah.
I'm in the mood to
course.
wage war. I mean, I'm waging war. We're waging war. That's what we're doing. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and get into the rescue us thing, but I am so tired of lip service.
Yeah.
And I am so tired of seeing a nation that God has blessed
Right.
be the largest consumer of sex trafficking with children. I am sick and tired of seeing his blessings totally rejected, and basically people giving him the middle finger.
Right.
Yeah.
We are sitting on stockpiles of generational wealth and opportunity.
Right.
The fact that there are 5 kids that we have to be concerned about for these
Exactly.
malevolent
Right.
reasons that end up in foster care because of rape and abuse and physical.
Right.
And so much worse that is not for this platform.
Yeah.
My patience, man, I don't know. I feel like God's dealing with me on some stuff, and it's been very hard, this Rescue Us project, to have my head in
Right.
the research and the data and the number of
And
lives.
then to interact with these babies
and then
through
to
the
be
summer.
and then to be interacting with these children
Yeah.
throughout the summer. I even used the starfish analogy at the end of the film, but man, I'm just telling you. Imagine if the church, and I say the church, but imagine if this heavily blessed, technologically spoiled,
Yeah.
this commercialized body of people that claim to be the modern church that's abundant
Yeah.
into the gazillions throughout the Western civilization. Imagine if just 5% of them decided
Right.
that they cared about these children, the millions and millions and millions of both dollars and lives that could be salvaged and saved and poured into efforts where we're rescuing these kids. I've been attacked recently for promoting the movie The Sound of Freedom
Yeah.
because it was put out by Angel Studios, and Jim Caviezel, who is a Catholic, and some of the people that own Angel Studios might be Mormon and things like this. And my thrust has been in defense of the film is not that I ideologically align myself with every person who's on cast and agree with every assertion that they
Of
believe
course.
privately
Right.
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 behind the scenes, no more than if you walked into a Thai restaurant to get
Right.
curry, that you're going to go interview the chef to see if he's not a Buddhist, and that
Right.
may not align with what you believe.
Right.
You see the hypocrisy?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
The film on its
ridiculous.
face is digging at something and making an effort to raise awareness about something that I care very much about. So I don't
Yeah.
frankly care if it's Blue Smurfs
Right.
or Santa Claus who shows up to stop these traffickers and
Yep.
to pull these kids out of what is hell on earth.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This show got really angry all of a sudden. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the Whispering Ponies
no.
Ranch. But you understand my sentiment?
Absolutely. So
That's
here's
why
one
we
thing.
do what we do.
That's right.
Absolutely, that's why we do what we do. And how can you help? So there's a lot of things that you can do.
Absolutely.
You can pray. That is one that a lot of people can do. On top of other things that you can do, you have a Royal Family Kids and possibly a Teen Reach in your area.
Yes.
All you have to do is go to their website, just Google search Royal Family Kids Camp, and their website will pull up. You can go and find if there's a chapter close to you.
Right.
Because the thing is, they need volunteers.
Yeah.
What we do at Whispering Ponies, we can't always have volunteers come and work for us because of the specificness of what we do with the rock wall and the swimming
Right,
pool. So
right,
it's harder for
right.
us to recruit
The liability.
people to help us do what we do. But Royal Family Kids Camps need you.
Yeah.
They
do.
need you. They need volunteers, whether it be your time. And if you can't give for a whole week, that's okay.
They have
Birthday
some that
party.
come
We
in.
haven't
Right.
even
Right.
talked about the birthday
Oh, right,
party.
right.
But they have people that come up just only for that one day that help serve the
Right,
kids
yeah.
right.
for the birthday party. They bring up the gifts or they bring up the cakes or
They get the
whatever.
professional people that, make the huge balloon arches.
Yes, the balloon arches. So
There's
all-
so much you
people
could
that
do.
There's so many
decorate.
things, and depending on what you can give,
Right.
you can do that. Because again, they need day volunteers. They need volunteers just for the evenings at bedtime. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. But get a hold of Royal Family Kids Camp. Get a hold of Teen Reach, and see what you can do. I was sharing some of the Teen Reach stuff. They were asking for $40 just to buy the pack that they give to the kids when they come to camp, because it's a little drawstring bag, it's a water bottle, it's a Bible,
Right.
and it's a T-shirt, and it's
Yeah.
a few things like that. So I mean, $40, that's not very much money that you can support them, and that changes the life of the child that they bring. So there's volunteer things that you can do with that. There's monetary things that you can do. There's just so many things that you can do to change the life of a child or a teen that's a part of these programs.
Absolutely. Or partner with us. There's so many things, we talked about, last year we saw food service costs
Yep.
go up exponentially, and this year it's even
Even
worse.
more.
It's when you
Yeah.
go through the bills,
Yeah.
your eyes are
Wow.
kind of like the cartoon eyes, wah, wah,
Right.
and it's just like, and that comes directly, out of Skywatch, television.
Yeah.
So we're thankful and grateful for the
Yeah.
partners that we do have.
Absolutely.
That
Very
financially
much.
support us and
And-
prayerfully support
Yes.
us. And we need that. We need that.
Absolutely.
In
And-
spite of all of the,
Absolutely.
price increases
Yeah.
and inflation, we still have our partners that are growing and keeping us above water.
Absolutely.
We're thankful for
Very
that.
thankful.
And going back to real quick to what you said, I really like the fact that you've challenged people to find their local.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking just where we live. This is like nationwide
Yeah.
into
This
some
is
other countries
nationwide.
even.
It is, it's worldwide now
Yep.
because they
Yeah,
have
global.
chapters in the UK. They have them all over the world. So
Don't
you
we have a
can-
map of that at
Yes,
the
at
camp?
the National Royal Family website.
Yeah.
And I think they're called For the Children now.
Yeah.
But if you look up,
forthechildren.org.
yeah, forthechildren.org, yes. And then Teen Reach Adventure Camps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those two, if you go there, they have on their website maps
Yeah.
of where they are located and
Right.
where those, find a location near you.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you look around and there's no location near you, guess what? Maybe you
You
could be
could
that
start.
person to,
Oh my
to dream
gosh.
it,
Yeah.
and to
Of course.
begin it.
Whispering Ponies Ranch was just a dream.
Yep.
My mom, the visionary, saw this all playing out in her mind's eye, and what God has done to make it possible. Basically, He'll do the same with anyone willing.
Yeah.
Whether you're a person of means or just a dream, He will make the resources available to you that
Yeah.
you need
Yes.
to be able to offer what it
Sustain.
is and to sustain
Yeah.
what it is that He would be asking you to do. We have viewers that have land.
Uh-huh.
We have churches. We have churches that have retreat centers and
Yep.
camping locations.
right.
And all you'd have to do is reach out to forthechildren.org,
Yeah.
send them an email.
Right.
I have 12 acres. I got a barn.
Right.
I got this other thing that used to be used as a lodge. Do you want it for your leaders?
No, and
For a retreat?
With-
Can you do a camp of 20
Right,
kids? Can
exactly.
you do that?
and she's done the model. Her and your dad have done the model for this.
Right.
So and they could give a clinic on it.
They can. Yep.
And absolutely teach and train and tell you if that's what God is calling you to do, how to do this and how to do it successfully. We've had to been drugged through the trenches on some things and learn the hard way. So,
Yes.
out of the gate, let's empower you to be successful right out of the gate.
We are limited in the amount of children that we can house, mostly because the groups that we have around need more help.
Right.
Yes.
The more counselors that they are allowed to recruit adds more children to their group.
Right. Right.
And so,
Well, and that's why we're plugging too. If you are able to volunteer, because a lot of these people come back every year. Because once you attend a Royal Family Kids Camp, there's no going back.
Yeah,
in
for
so
real.
many
It's
different.
ways.
It's so different.
Because your life will be changed, and you will see that you are making a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But these volunteers, that's what they are. They are not getting paid to come up
Nope.
to camp. They
A lot of them take
come-
their vacation.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is their vacation for the summer that they do because it's a ministry for
Right.
something they believe in so wholeheartedly, because how can you not?
yeah.
Jesus even said that if you do
Yeah.
it to the least of these my
Oh.
children. These are the children that are lost and they need our help.
This is the harvest field,
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
very much.
And I know I mentioned this before, but part of why we can do what we do is because of what you guys give. And we are so appreciative to that. And if you have felt led to give to us to help us continue our ministry here at Whispering Ponies Ranch, you can go to the Skywatch TV store.com, and on the left hand side there will be a button that says donate, and there's many different options that you can do depending on what level you are able to give, and every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. So please visit us at skywatchtvstore.com. And thank you so much for
Yes.
taking the time to listen to us talk about something that is so near and dear to our heart. We just love what we do. Like Joe mentioned, it's so hard to do, but it's so
Worth it.
worth it, absolutely worth it to do it, and to see these children's change from Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
and how much God has met with them at the
Yeah.
camp. So thank you again. We appreciate everything that you do. Pray for us. We need your prayers. We love it when people pray for us. Thank you so much. Did you guys enjoy these shows? Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week in the Simply His Coffee Shop.